welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs and business news podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. I took some time off. Now we are back with episode 109. I was going to put this off until tomorrow. And then as I was doing yoga... Oh, Jesus. Hold on, I'll get to what just happened in a second. As I was doing yoga, I was like, oh, I have an interview to put out tomorrow. So I cannot wait until tomorrow to put this out. Here we are. Secondly, today was National Free Ice Cream. I don't know, National Free Ice Cream. I think it's just Free Ice Cream Cone Day at Ben & Jerry's. And I was told that at the dog park. So Maverick and I walked down there after lunch. It's better than doing it now when it is the evening time, post-work, when there's going to be a bunch of assholes there. But it was still a bunch of assholes there. So Maverick and I were walking down, and then, I saw the crowd. There's probably like maybe 30 people or so. And they're all just like, people were inside getting ice cream because they were moving quick. The line was moving quick. But there's like a charity outside. Then people were hanging out outside just eating the tiny, tiny ice cream cone they gave you. And Maverick and I were fully almost in the store, and this crusty ass couple, just powered by me to get in front of the line, to get, there were already like 3 or 4 people ahead of us just to get right there. And I was just like, and then out loud I go, oh, okay, we're just going to be assholes today. And then so then one of the workers handed me a plastic menu, and I'm looking at it, and Maverick is scared. He's a very scared. He's a pit mix, but he's a very, very, very scared dog of everything. And this woman, one of the crusty woman in the couple, turned and she's like, "Why aren't you cute?" And he did not give a shit. He was like, "No, thank you." Whereas, like, he literally turned his head, "Nope." Whereas, oh my God, hold on. Is the audio not recording on the video? Oh, goodness gracious. I'll tell you what. I hope it's recording. It's recording now. It's recording now. I hope it was recording an audition, but it's now recording on the video. Anyway, but it was just so fascinating to see him, to see how people act just to get their free ice cream. Okay, what else? Oh, so when we were gone, Luna is the new cat in our lives. She's a kitten. She's very dumb. She likes to come onto the desk, and especially when I'm not here, she's not allowed. So that's why, especially when I'm not here. And if the work laptop was open, and as you see, it's a very nice MacBook. I believe it is an M5 of some sort. Anyway, I think it's an M5. It might be an M4. What is it? I don't know. It is the most recent one. Anyway, so I left it open, as I typically do when it is the work day. And this dumbass, she usually climbs on top of the laptop, which I hate. But she climbed on it, and this time it fell off of the desk. And I did not know. I came back home. It was a 15-minute. Well, yeah, it was like a 15-minute excursion. We came back, and then I'm looking around, and I'm going, where did I put the laptop? And I go, I locked the door. Did somebody come in and steal it? Like I'm walking around. It's not connected to my Find My for some reason. And then I go, okay, hold on. I put it on the desk. And I peered over the side, and right here, this is a standing desk. There's a standing mat that I just have propped up, and behind the mat lay the computer. And I'm like, oh shit! And I pick it up. Everything's fine. There's no cracks. There's no scratches. I did just pull off a tiny little paint chip, but a button did fall off, and then I put it back on, and I was so mad at her. I was like, "This is a work laptop. This is a $3,000 laptop. How dare you!" All right, let's get on. Let's get on with the news that we have here. Let's go to video capture. Never not funny. That was days ago. Okay, this first story comes from the New York Times. It is written by Benjamin Mullen. Hollywood heavyweights sign letter opposing Paramount's deal for Warner Brothers. Now, in the show notes, I have it written as thousands. This was the first iteration of this letter that was signed by more than 1,000 writers, actors, and directors. At this point, there's been the people who joined on to the letter, it is now over 2,000 signatures. But this letter is essentially opposing Paramount's acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery. They say the deal would harm Hollywood's already distressed entertainment community. And that is the crux of this letter. It's very true. We have people like Joaquin Phoenix, Tiffany Haddish, Lily Gladstone, Bryan Cranston, and so many more people, J.J. Abrams, Denis Villeneuve, who have signed this letter. Paramount came out and said in a statement that the company understood the concerns that, quote, some in the creative community have raised, adding that the deal with Warner Brothers will preserve, quote, iconic brands with independent creative leadership, ensuring creators have more avenues for their work, not fewer. I don't necessarily think this is true. If you watch the current season of The Comeback starring Lisa Kudrow, which is a show that I believe was canceled after the first season, and it came back for not a reboot, but like a second season more. I mean, it's obviously a second and a third season, but it's come back, and it's always relevant every single time it comes back. And this third season, which is, I think, 12 years after the second season, which was like 12 years after the first season, this third season concerns Lisa Kudrow's character being hired to be the first actress in an AI created TV show, AI written TV show, and the creators are taking no sides in this AI debate. But if you look at the show, it is very heavily. There's a side they're taking, and it is anti-AI, which I like. It's very funny, but what you're seeing here when she goes on the lot, there's not a lot of working happening on the lot, and in the show, there's not a lot of people working on the show, and they're keeping the AI idea of it under wraps from the other actors because she's an executive producer on the show. So they're keeping it from the other actors, and that information is only available to the executives as well as the director and the two writers that were on the show. Otherwise, no one else knows. So it's interesting to watch. I'm forgetting the character's name. Lisa Kudrow's character walked the line between being a showrunner, being an executive producer, and then also being an actress in the show and trying to help the other actors, essentially. And this last episode was just, oh my gosh, oh my man, she is struggling to keep things afloat, especially when the writers decide to leave because it's just a paycheck to them. They don't care. The letter comes months after So the deal obviously was for $111 billion. And the money, this is not good. The money, I'm going to keep reiterating this, does not all just come from Larry Ellison, conservative person Larry Ellison, buying this for his son David, who is now running the company. It is not just from Larry Ellison. It also comes from Saudi wealth funds as well as China. So there's a lot of actors, not the acting kind, actors who have money in this, who aren't in the Hollywood system, who are known to make propaganda for their nations, more or less. The letter was organized by a coalition of advocacy groups, including the Committee for the First Amendment, the Free Speech Group, led by actor Jane Fonda, Democracy Defenders Fund, an organization co-funded by Norm Eisen, an ambassador in the Obama administration, and the Future Film Coalition, a group of independent film professionals. I love this idea, and I would sign it and I would back it, but I also don't think that the U.S. government, the people running it right now, really care about this, especially because, given our president would just post, our great president would post something opposing even the Pope. So like what like this is as much as we want to create an uprising, it's not going to do much. Michael O'Leary, chief executive of Cinema United, a trade organization that represents 30,000 movie screens in the United States, said in an interview that he opposed the acquisition, warning that any decrease in film production could result in more theater closings. Paramount, David Ellison has come out and said, hey, we want to do 30 movies theatrically per year. But that's still not enough. Combined efforts with Warner Brothers and Paramount, that's still like nothing. That's still 30 movies. Let's say, 1,000, not even 1,000. Like, yeah, maybe let's say a couple hundred jobs per movie, and then there's like a lot of cross pollination. It's still not enough. This is not good. I'm glad that this letter exists, and I'm glad that 2,000 people have signed it. This is wonderful, and hopefully it puts pressure on the United States government, I think is the Department of Justice, who will vote. No, excuse me, shareholders will vote on this on April 23rd, so in a week's time, week or so. But hopefully this will at least put the government in a position where they go, even on the right, where people go, hey, this isn't maybe such a good idea. This next one comes from The Hollywood Reporter, written by Katie Kilkenny. California's creative job losses aren't AI casualties, key report finds. This was a very interesting thing to see, especially given that the concerns of the job security and future jobs in the entertainment industry are mostly with, and as you'll see in the next story, with the likes of generative AI. And then people were concerned about that. I don't think I really put that into words. Don't blame generative AI for the devastating recent shrinkage in California's creative workforce, says the latest report from the LA-based Otis College of Art and Design, which produces research annually encompassing the state's film, fashion, gaming, media, advertising, arts, and architecture industries. That's everything. According to the co-author of this year's research, Patrick Adler, a founding partner of Westwood Economics and Planning Consultants, they say the pattern of job loss in terms of types of jobs that are being lost and when they're being lost does not support the fact that there's been the displacement of workers by AI. What we do find is that AI has, in the creative economy, dramatically changed how work is being done. I listened to The Daily this morning because I'm a basic bitch. It's the most popular podcast, and when someone's like, I listen to, that's how I get my news, I listen to The Daily, I go, great. But that doesn't mean anything. They had an episode this morning called, and you're going to see the episode of the podcast I was literally just listening to. I don't listen to a lot of Comedy Bang Bang anymore, but when I see Jimmy Pardo. The episode was about the workers letting AI do their jobs, and it covered, Clive Thompson covered the coders who either let AI company, who are working with companies, software developers, who let AI do the work for them, and they are the human actors at the, I guess I'm saying actors, human actors at the wheel, correcting the coding that the AI is doing or not, or they are essentially backups. But there's more to it. There's a whole lot to it. But the thing is, for some of the people who let that happen, they feel like they're losing the ability to actually code while they're correcting this, AI tool, whatever tool they're using, code, which I find very fascinating. It's the same thing, if I hate doing lunges. So if I don't do lunges and I don't do anything to the equivalent of doing lunges, then I'm going to lose that ability to do lunges. If I don't play piano, then I'll lose the ability to play piano. I wish I could play piano. I've never learned. If the limitless pill existed, would I take it? Probably not. I don't think so. Because, I don't like that idea. I don't want to, if I stop taking the pill, I'll be stupid again. So let me just stay my base life stupid. Now, the Hollywood Reporter viewed the 2026 report, which is titled Creative Disruption, AI in California's creative economy, 2022 to 2025, which I assume it covers those 3 years. And it is basically between those 3 years, California's creative economy lost 14% of its jobs, or 114,000 roles, according to a report. Those losses were concentrated in two sectors in particular: film, television, and sound, which saw a nearly 30% decline in jobs in that time period, and in traditional media, with nearly 34% decline. Now, if you look at this chart, you'll see that, let's just open that in a new tab. It barely did anything. The creative economy has shrunk in the AI era. With the release of ChatGPT in 2022, we see basically a giant increase. What is that blue line? Of new media. So it's plus 47%. That's in the AI era. As opposed to the pre-pandemic era, we saw 40%. Oh, wow. But it dipped in the pandemic era. That's interesting. The overall creative economy basically fluctuated between what looks to be 5 and negative 5% before now it's flattening out at negative 6. I don't know what this chart entirely means. Continuing on, the jobs most exposed to AI in the state's creative economy, writers, software developers, artists, have been growing in number rather than shrinking. Job postings for these occupations have been up as well. As I've mentioned prior to this, at my day job, they are slowly starting to implement an AI tool for the editors that work on the projects that we make. I will not talk about what job I have. And it is, you have to be so, and as mentioned in the New York Times, the daily podcast episode that I previously mentioned earlier, you have to be so very specific when the coders are talking about in that episode and what our editors are talking about. You have to be so very specific with what you want to do, what you want the AI tool to do. For the coders, you have to say, do this, 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 and then this way, and then correct it when it doesn't happen. And then for the editors, they have to, I don't exactly know what they do. I've been in the meeting. I've been in the meetings where they talk about this. I'll say this: they've been talking about this for a year, and they're finally starting to implement it. But anyway, you have to be like, if you want, leaves to fall, you have to say, I want leaves to fall. I want it to be this color. I want it to fall in this fashion. And then even still, the clips that they're generating only last a few seconds. The good news for Hollywood workers is that so far, generative AI use in creative industries appear to be replacing specific tasks instead of staffers, which is something that I think, can be, after hearing, after reading some AI things about AI, I guess, and stories like this, that is exactly, I think, what we should be aiming for. When paper was created, that whole industry, the industry before then, was just like upended. In the same way, I'm sure when the calculator was invented, mathematicians were like, Jesus Christ, what is this? I don't have to use my abacus anymore. I'm spitballing here. Same thing for cars. Cars were that tool before. But people still ride horses, I guess. They still use buggies. So that's but I'm still not gung ho about it. It's not something that we should desperately want. Okay, now moving on to the final story. This comes from Variety, written by Gene Mattis. What's in the WGA deal? $321 million in health funding, higher premiums, better residuals, and more AI meetings. This happened over the break. This was so great to hear. The Writers Guild of America signed that deal, and we didn't know what was in it. With the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, they signed that deal. We didn't know what was in it, and now we know what's inside the deal. First off, this deal is for an extra year. Instead of 3 years, it's 4 years, which is, I know I've mentioned this before. You don't exactly want the longer deals, but this is a 4-year deal that's better overall. So you kind of have the extra breathing room. But, the longer the deal, the less protections you have for in the future. So this is kind of, it's usually deals are signed for 3 years at a time. So this is kind of, in, I would say, preparation for what is to come. Every deal is. Okay. A studio side source emphasized that the deal is by far the largest increase in history for the health plan. That's specifically what they wanted. Remember, the health plan was essentially decimated because of the 3-year. Excuse me. How long was the last? 18 months, I believe, was the last strike, and that was happening during the 3-year deal. After the 3-year deal had expired. The infusion is about 5 times larger than the $65 million the studios gave in 2017, the last time the health fund was a key issue. This is, before we get into anything, I understand why these CEOs and these companies want more money. I get it. It makes your bottom line bigger. It makes you seem more powerful. Sure, David Zaslav is a fucking billionaire now, which is ridiculous. But wouldn't you want to invest in your people so they continue to make great movies and TV shows for you, and music, and in a lot of cases too, in music and stuff? Like I would rather, you might hear my dinner cooking, I would rather have, and I understand, I'm a different type of person. I don't want much. I would rather have less money and more potential to earn more in the long run than to have more money now and then maybe have the idea to have more money in the long run and then to screw over people that are making the things that I want to make me more money. The contract also includes an increase in streaming residuals with a quote-unquote success bonus, which is fair, which is good enough, for the most popular streaming shows, going from 50% to the base residual of the base residual to 75%. It also includes annual increases of 1.5, 3, and 3% in most minimum cases across the 4 years, as well as some provisions meant to discourage producers from demanding free work from writers. The residual, in the case of the residuals, I think, for a show like Malcolm in the Middle that is having a reprise in success, that show made it to like 217, I think, 200 plus episodes in syndication. I was watching, I don't know, something on YouTube TV last night, and I saw the commercial for the 4 new episodes of Malcolm in the Middle, the revival, that are going to be the only 4 episodes that we get from that show. They said they're not doing any more, but it was Hulu's biggest premiere of the year so far. So what I would have done is, if I were Disney, I would have gone to FX or FXX or wherever you have the free time, because you're basic cable, you have free time. I would have just put episodes on there, pay the residuals, and been like, here's episodes of this, because people are still using pay TV, like me, as well as streaming. And then in other areas, the deal is basically the same thing. On artificial intelligence, the AMPTP agreed to continue to hold meetings with the WGA and to notify the Guild if the licenses writers work for are training AI. I guess that sentence that is written doesn't make sense. But I editorialized it a little bit. But the studios did not agree to pay writers for AI training, which had been a union demand. So that means, essentially, if they say, if the studios come to the producers or the WGA and say, hey, also this is used to train AI, then the WGA can say, don't write on that show or don't write on that project, whatever it is. The deal also holds the line at TV staffing minimums, which were a key element for the 2023 writer's strike. The MPTP had sought to relax the requirements in order to allow for limited 4-week quote-unquote mini rooms before a show is greenlit, but the WGA stuck to the terms of the 2023 deal that all but abolished them. I think that's the free work thing. The substantive changes mostly pertain to healthcare. Due to the decline in film and TV production and the spiraling health costs, the WGA fund has run deficits totaling $200 million over the last 4 years. At that rate, the fund's reserves would have dried up within another 3. The union came in with a goal of extracting more money from the lawyers. If you're watching the video and you see me like rubbing my lats, it is because my lats have been hurting. I think it's from the workout yesterday. And then I did snatches this morning and cleans and jerks. And I don't think that helped. In-network costs have gone up 13% since 2019. So this is great to keep the, as a WGA spokesperson says, out-of-pocket costs as low as possible. They raised the contributions, their health contributions, from 13% of a rider's gross compensation to 16.75, which doesn't seem like a lot on paper, but I'm sure that's a decent chunk of change. I don't know. Those changes, I have to pay because I'm contracted. I have to pay for my health care. And I also don't think I get a HSA fund. I don't know. Anyway, and it's like $25 a month or whatever deal I chose. Not deal, but whatever packages I chose. I got to tell you, it's nice to have health care again, but also, still money out of my pocket. In addition, the parties agreed to shift the $41 million from the paid parental leave benefit to the health plan. So that's a good thing for parents, right? For their part, riders will see increases in premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket minimums. The WGA also agreed to a 10% increase in the earnings threshold to qualify for coverage. A 10% increase in the earnings threshold. So does that mean people who were making, I'm going to make up a number, $100, if they're now making $110, then they can get in? Or maybe they're making $90 they can get in? I don't know. Additionally, the Guild agreed to a major reform of the quote-unquote extended coverage system, whereby riders accrue points that allow them to stay on the plan for up to 5 years while they're not working. That's a great idea. That's excellent because, hey, sometimes, right now especially, jobs are few and far between, so this is great. Riders currently pay 0 monthly premiums for individual coverage and up to $50 for a family. Under the new agreement, that will increase to $75 for individual and $200 for a family, which is still lower than the current SAG-AFTRA premiums. Okay, yeah, that's good. Out-of-pocket maximums will increase from $1,000 per person to $2,500. Deductibles will increase from $400 to $500 for individuals and from $1,200 to $1,500 for a family. The earnings threshold to qualify for coverage, here it is, very important, is currently $46,759. That means you have to basically be making essentially more than minimum wage, a little bit more than minimum wage in order to make health care and not be on state funded. The WGA agreed to raise that threshold by 10%. Okay, so that means you have to make 47,000 something. So you have to make a little over 47,000 in order to qualify for coverage. But that means you also have to be able to land a job. So the quote unquote best case scenario for you to have health care if you're in the WGA is to land a good enough job where you're making at least, a contract, I guess, or a writer's gig could be like a couple of weeks to a couple of months, and you could make in 1 year or in a couple of months $47,000. Like that could be your take for that entire year in like 3 or 4 or 5 months, which is not good, but it could be your take. So if you landed one good job a year, then that could help you get healthcare coverage. The deal also makes it harder to accrue extended coverage points, setting a floor of $200,000 in covered earnings in 1 year to qualify. Yeah, that is difficult. Under the current system, a rider needed only to hit $46,759 minimum to begin accumulating points. The reform will dramatically slow the rate at which riders accumulate points in the future. Yeah, that's boy. Then it continues on about healthcare stuff. Okay. There's a ratification vote that'll open on the 16th, which is you can vote yay or nay, and if enough people say nay, then they'll go back to the argument board. But who knows about that? Healthcare is very important, and when it comes to writers and directors and producers and actors, if you are in a guild and you're paying your however much money to be in that guild, they help you. Unions help you get these very important things because as a community, you are better served by that union. And it is, I don't know. It's the stuff that's a negative are really negative, but these positives that they were able to get are good. And the fact that they got them for an extra year is even better. But because you don't want to be in a position where they screw you over because of this AI thing or because of healthcare coverage or anything in between. But I don't know. I'm thinking about those negatives. But it's if you're lucky enough to be in SAG as well, because you're an actor, you're a writer-actor or actor-writer, then maybe the SAG premiums might be better for you, even though you're paying a little bit more. Who knows? Okay. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where we've got your favorite interviews and things with people. I don't know why I unlocked my phone. The iPad's in front of me. We have got your favorite interviews with your favorite people or your future favorites. Who knows? If you want to see a video version of those interviews, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can also see a video version of this show, as well as a video version of the other podcasts, The Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News Show, and Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. Subscribe to those podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, and check out the interviews where I sit down and talk to famous people. Follow us on social media at cpluscomedy on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.